After the continual switching of Han and Hina, everyone watched as Hina finally broke through the layers of roots and dirt to expose the darkness of the tunnel. It was like looking into a cave system newly discovered and untouched by man. Bits of wood and earth fell into the hole, the noise echoing throughout the void. Hina ducked her head into the opening, with Kimberly holding her legs to prevent her from falling. The fall wouldn't injure her, but they were trying to remain stealthy even after all the ruckus made earlier trying to cut through the ground. "Do you think these things run throughout the floor of this forest?" Ivy asked Han, both wonder and fear in her voice. It was still difficult to imagine such elaborate avenues of travel existing there naturally. Han paused before answering. "I think it would be unusual if the tunnels were conveniently formed by the forest, considering how convenient it is for those monsters. It would be like highways springing up out of the ground, connecting all the major cities and being an asset for businesses and civilians," Ruby added. Han and his group were congregated together, observing the process, and now waited to hear what Hina saw inside. "It makes me wonder if the monsters had developed the ability to think strategically instead of behaving mindlessly as in the simulations," his mother theorized, her hand moving to her helmet as she tilted her head in the usual manner whenever she was thinking of something. Jennifer took out her spear and held it, likely thinking about what their mother said. "It felt like we were finally able to defend ourselves, but if those things were beginning to develop plans and strategies, it doesn't make sense to think about things we don't have control over. Let's take this one step at a time," Grace said to Jennifer encouragingly. Han nodded his head. "I agree. With the new information still coming out, the captain may have figured out a new strategy. Our efforts here will also contribute to helping her make a more informed decision about how to handle these monsters." Hina's body began getting out of the hole, signaling that something was about to start. Han's group moved over to where Hina and the others were. "It looks like it's just a straight tunnel. Even with help from the suit, I couldn't see that far into it, so it looks like we have to jump in blind," Hina explained as she was patting off the dirt from her suit. Jade appeared to be considering the next plan of action, weighing their options and whether it would be prudent to go back and ask for backup on this unexpected mission. "A part of me wants to ask what the captain thinks and bring several more people." She looked at Jackie and the others. "But the issue is that enough time has already passed, and I'm concerned about the safety of Jiehua and Amanda. Splitting up wouldn't be ideal, with the number of monsters on the surface, and it would just divide our combat ability." "I agree. Worst case would be the team going back gets ambushed, and we don't have the numbers to fight against whatever took them away," Kimberly agreed. "There may be an option for gauging the situation and determining whether backup is needed or not." Steve stepped in, throwing out something everyone had forgotten. "But if we run into something we can't handle, even with these new weapons that are several times better than what the people walking the perimeter have, then how are other teams going to be able to fight off these things?" Everyone else was quiet, realizing the primary thing they'd overlooked. Jade waved her hand, saying, "We're getting ahead of ourselves. First, we need to find out what we're dealing with." "It's the right thing, Steve. If we don't have a time-sensitive issue, then I would agree with what you're thinking. With the help of our suits, all of us should be able to run away safely. If things get bad, then both Ruby and I can create a diversion," Lexi said. Ruby smacked her fist against her chest. "You can depend on me. With my ability, I'll be able to attack the monsters and still get away safely." Jade nodded her head at Ruby's enthusiasm. "The formation will be pretty much the same as when we entered the forest. I'll go in first and make sure that nothing is waiting for us. Steve, you'll be last. If these things are able to manipulate the roots, we need to be wary of attacks from all sides inside the tunnel." Hearing her words, they nodded their heads to let her know that they understood the dangers. Walking over to the hole, Jade jumped into it, plunging herself into the void. They heard a light thump as Jade landed at the bottom. There was silence before Jade told them, "It's clear. Steve, you come down next and keep watch on the rear." Steve moved to the opening and jumped in, positioning himself so that he had a clear view of the tunnel going in the opposite direction. Once the tunnel was clear on both ends, they began to quickly drop into the shaft in a similar order they had entered the forest. The process didn't take very long, and soon Han was inside the tunnel, looking around at the roots that made up the area. Glancing up and down the shaft, he understood what Hina was talking about when she spoke about her limited view. Even though the suit had night vision capabilities, Han was only able to see within shouting range. After walking for several minutes in the dark, aided by the suit, Ivy cried out, "What is that?" "It must be because of all the sound we made from getting into this place," Ruby answered. Everyone else said various words of wonder as the tunnel began to be filled with a glowing light. As more time passed with them walking through the tunnel soon seemed like a tunnel made out of lights. Even Lexi commented fondly about the glow caused by whatever substance was integrated with the roots. "If they're just lighting up, does that mean that they are alive? Do they know that we're walking here?" Harmony asked, amazed by the experience. Each of them came up with a theory about what was going on with the glowing substance. The one that gained the most ground came from Lacey. "I think the bacteria, plant, or fungi that existed on the trees have interacted with whatever made this force proliferate. So in a sense, you can say that they're living, though I'm unsure whether they are aware of us. Though I think it's reasonable to presume that they have some kind of survival instinct," Lacey added to the conversation. Allowing for a few distractions to encroach on their mission, Jade finally stamped on their fun, saying, "Don't forget that those monsters could come through the roots from any angle. We also need to focus on rescuing Jaehua and Amanda, so don't get distracted." "Yes, Jade," Ivy and Ruby said in a quiet voice. Seeing how they acted in the tunnel, Han made the guess that they were feeling worried about being in the tunnel and heading towards an unknown enemy. Their talking was a way for them to not become overwhelmed. After walking for more than an hour in the tunnel at a relatively fast pace while making sure they were discreet, something in the tunnel alerted them that they were getting close. "The tunnel up ahead is getting dark again," Kimberly remarked. "Everyone, be on guard. I think we may be running into trouble soon," Jade informed the group. It didn't take much longer before they heard the sounds of heavy steps and various noises unrelated to humans. Hearing the sounds, Jade began slowing down until she was going at a slow crawl. How did they make the light? Jackie wondered upon seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Revealed by the light was the movement of numerous figures. It was difficult to see what they were, but upon getting closer, no words were spoken. Nothing could describe what they were seeing, and a common thought was shared among them. It felt like they had stumbled upon a nightmare, only seen in movies or the imagination of a madman. Even backup wouldn't be able to help us if we're unable to deal with this on our own, Lexi said in a quiet voice.